So we wanted to, just overall talk about all of the crazy transits that are happening right now, 'cause it is kind of a peak shift moment in the entire year that I think personally feels like the feminine reclamation. Um, and one of those shifts that just happened, Saturn moved from Pisces into Aries. I think it was last Saturday. Can you hear me? Also,
Yeah.
by the way? Okay, perfect. Last Saturday, Saturn moved from Pisces into Aries, where will be until September 1st. So those of us who have Saturn in Pisces, we just got a little bit of a break of Saturn off of our necks from the past 2 full years since March 2023 that Saturn's been in Pisces. So from this time, now we're getting a preview of Saturn's next cycle when Saturn fully goes into Aries, February, done with our Saturn return. But right now, we are also feeling the energy of just like what it's going to kind of getting a few rewards of all of the work that we've been putting in for the past 2 years, while also seeing like where we still have room to grow and where we still need to like anchor in all of the things that we've learned. But it feels like a nice break, I think, for me at least. It's been feeling like I'm slowly being able to exhale a little bit deeper into like, okay, like I'm no longer like who I was, but now I'm having to anchor in this new version of myself and like come to grips with everything that had to end over that 2 year pattern and like what I let go of, what's like maybe resurrecting to like come back in just to like remind me of where I need to grow, like remind me of where I've already grown, like just so many like revisits um to like really share also. I think like sometimes you don't realize how much you're growing when you're in the thick of it until you like reemerge and you're like, oh yeah, I'm not the same person. Or you interact with somebody that you knew from that time and it's like, whoa, like so much has shifted, so much has happened.
Thank goodness for
uh,
return to each other.
Thank goodness, thank
And
goodness.
so, yeah, like anyone watching, like Sinead and I, we know each other from Bali in
Yeah,
like 2019, right?
yes,
2019.
yes, six
And
years
we just come full circle on just like in each other's worlds again. Like we were always there, but you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just that space and time, and now we're back and here we are. So, and also some context, right? Like, so how many years ago for you was your Saturn return?
So it started March 2023.
But for you also, you were,
Yes,
it's
yeah,
what year you born?
1994.
Ah, okay. Okay,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. For me, 95. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, okay. So yeah. So go ahead. Saturn,
Yeah, so we were in
like,
it together. We were in it together. I think it's like Saturn moved into Pisces, I wanna say the end of 1993 and was there until the beginning of '96, I believe.
okay. Mm.
That's a
Mhm.
good time and, like, all of us early, mid-90, almost mid-90 babies were in there. Um Which I really love our influence. I love Saturn and Pisces, like what our generation represents, because we are that kind of like lucid flow in a way where we like came in and like reminded people that like you can have structure and you can have discipline, but you can also have flow and you can also have spirit and you can also have creativity and you can also like make and bring things into form through your imagination. Like it doesn't have to always be so rigid. But I
Mm.
think that we grew up in a time where people were wanting to like, box things in and like make them very like structure based. And especially when went into Capricorn, everything was very much like get a job, do this, follow the path. But I think we all were born to be like, there is no path. And now like people are embracing that truth. Now it's like coming to like be that like all of these people, whoever's creating online, whoever's just doing things from their soul, it's like this is not about having to be contained in any other way that you don't really resonate with, but like you can do it in your own flavor, I guess. So that's been like the thing that I've come back around to see about myself, where it's like I wasn't wrong for wanting to go against the structure. I just needed to know that I could create structure in like my own form, in my own way, and not have to like resist what I was like being genuinely naturally drawn to, which
Mhm.
was, you know. So now we're here, back again, doing this again. Like, thank God. Thank God we followed the path. And you too, following the path is what led us here. But I think our Saturn return was like helping us also recognize like what foundations that we were building all this time, like what was aligned, what wasn't aligned. Like I got my ass kicked for a bit and I am thankful for it. I'm thankful for all of the shifts, all of the deaths, all of the, I mean, even motherhood that emerged at that time. Like motherhood was my initiation also with Saturn, just like, hey, yeah, now you're going to surrender your body to this entire process and have to create a new structure, create a new identity, create a new like version of yourself and break everything down to bring this new being into the realm. So it was very fitting and very pruning and refining. And it was at the time, I think the peak of your Saturn return feels like you just have no idea what's going to come on the other side. Like, okay, I don't know, but I have no choice but to just go with whatever, wherever I'm at, one day at a time, you know? But I would love to hear how it was for you also, like in that process, in the thick of it, because now we're like coming to the other side. But like when I think 2023, when I think about 2024, I'm like, whoa, okay, that was a whole nother world that really emerged and like sucked me in for a while. But we're coming out now.
Whew, yeah. Before I go into, I have a few questions for you, and then I'll go into my journey with it. Just in terms of planetary alignments, so now Saturn, is it? So is Saturn retrograding now? Because I know Saturn went into Aries, but is Saturn it like retrograding, and then it's gonna be back in Pisces or back in Aries, or what's going? Because I saw something that was like there's kind of a little break until October, and I
Mm.
wasn't sure if that meant like Saturn's retrograding and then it's gonna go direct, or yeah.
Yes, going to retrograde. I maybe at the end of this month. I'm not sure the
Yeah.
exact. But it hasn't retrograded yet, but it will retrograde, that's why it's, like, dipping,
Mm.
and then, um,
What
once
happens when it retrogrades? Like, and why is it relevant?
so Saturn retrograde is, like, the time it happens every single year, so this time of year is no matter what, Saturn's always retrograding at some point, but it's really a time of year where we, like, kind of get, like, that karmic check and balance where we're like, "Okay, the energy that I've been putting in towards, whether it's my work, whether it's, just the way that I'm disciplining myself, my energy, my boundaries, my
So to
structure."
give you some context, we can use, let's say, my Saturn, for example, in this. Like, so my Saturn's in the second house, which is ruling money and values. So, in the context of what you're speaking about now and why retrograde is relevant, like in the context of, let's say, money,
Mhm.
or value systems, what does that mean?
So, like, when Saturn is retrograding in your second house, you're gonna have these maybe experiences where you recognize, like, oh, for the past, like, while Saturn was direct, like, what was I putting my energy towards, and was I, valuing myself? Was I really honoring myself? Was I honoring my self-worth? Was I honoring the boundaries that I need to have towards, like, other people, giving and receiving? Just, like, was I really in flow? Because now I'm really seeing where I was or I wasn't, because Saturn's gonna bring up, like, "Hey, this, initiation or this experience to be like, "Hey, I know that you've been working on this, but, like, this needs a little bit more refinement, or this needs a little, like, some work, or just, like, take a look at this," So it's never really, I think, anything, like, detrimental or anything. Saturn is always just coming in to, like, mature us in that area. So it's, like, also gonna be most sometimes a time where we can really see, like, "Oh, I've really grown, like, I'm really been doing the work." Now Saturn's really showing me, like, why I've been having to, like, anchor myself more in my self-esteem, because now I'm receiving the fruits of all of these opportunities that can, like, lead me to create a bigger structure, a foundation, or buy a home, or, like, do more, like, bigger, grander things that, you've been working towards. So it can also be like a reward period. It doesn't have to all the time be, it just depends on, like, again, how you've been moving in your energy. If you've been conscious of wherever Saturn is in your chart, if Saturn's really also highlighted in your chart, if you're a Saturn ruled person, like we are, Aquarius risings, Capricorn risings, Saturn ruled. If you have
Mm.
placements, prominent Aquarius placements. Saturn is like, a dominant energy. So you might feel those retrogrades more, whether it's like, you feel the need to slow down, or you feel the need to, like, get better about your diet, or just, like, get more strict about your routine. Like, you might feel like those, like, intuitive nudges to, like, just tighten up a bit.
Mhm.
But it's just like that time where we really have to, like, see and, like, know and, like, really, like, reflect on the way that we're moving in that area in our chart.
Mm. Okay, thank you. And physically, like, what is the planet actually doing when it's retrograding? Like, is it actually going backwards or is it just an
I
illusion?
I think that's what they say about it. It's like it's in a review process. So what I feel like when a planet retrogrades, like Mercury retrogrades, for example, it's like I think you're actually receiving the planet in its, like, rawest form. It's like really, like, there's no filter over it, and it's like really gonna be impactful. It's gonna be more like something that you notice and we feel more tangible to you. Like, because the planet is, like, just basically, like, unfiltered and just sharing.
Mm.
That's Mercury's retrograde. Everyone's like, "Bro, what's going on?" And it's like Mercury's like, "I don't have a filter. I don't have to do anything. I can just show up, in your reality the way that you're reflecting." So, it is also, like, again, mirroring our own internal energy. I personally think all of the planets are, like, inside of us and outside of us too. So, whatever that energy is coming out to, like, mirror wherever Saturn is currently working through you, if that makes sense.
I love this what you said about it being the raw form, and I'm curious which planets, if any, were in retrograde when I was born, because 'cause I'm
Mm,
so unfiltered, so I'm like, I wonder I mean, no,
Mercury could be.
maybe I'm filtered just because I'm so, just authentic in who I am and just, like, no filter, like, right? But, not to say that, like, I'm unfiltered because of the planets in retrograde, but, I that's the first time I heard of, the retrograde motion being raw, unfiltered essence and energy.
Yes, my daughter actually has Mercury retrograde. Like, she was born during Mercury retrograde, and I will say she speaks with, like, no, like, "This is what you're gonna get, this is what you're gonna do," and it's like you stop and you listen, and, like, she commands the room immediately with her voice, and she has this
Mhm.
power. Like, again, there's, like, this connotation with retrogrades being bad or being, like, you know, a detriment, but really, no. If you really know how to hold that energy, I'm sure, and I mean, it's very possible that you have a similar placement or somewhere, Mars, something.
Would
Like,
it show the, like, an R, or how would it would show the R, correct?
next to it on the chart.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. I mean, maybe I could see how mass majority would think it's quote unquote bad, but then again, a mass majority of people aren't really willing to be unfiltered and raw and vulnerable, so it's to our benefit, like, if we done the work and we feel confident in who we are, then the whole raw, unfiltered screen process doesn't exist, it's just like, what is the filter, it's just
There's no need.
you're looking at it, you're
Yeah, forget it. What you're yeah,
so okay,
everything
so my question for you is about responsibility. And then I'll go into how like this whole Saturn there's a lot of big like my story is just like hello Saturn, like there's a book coming because it's like
that,
literal like
that,
life
that
and life begins as for everyone. But what like in short in your past few years what role did responsibility play for you? And I could see that it would come up more in the context with your body, with the what house is your Saturn in?
first.
And so does that so that's identity. So
Mhm.
that does relate in a way to this you coming into your motherhood.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, what role did response did
Yeah,
or does play in oh my mom just joined. Hi mom. She's so sweet. Oh, she's probably like driving right now home.
I love that.
So
Uh,
well did yeah, did or does play in your Saturn return when it comes to
well
responsibility.
well, I think if there's any word that could, like, encapsulate what my Saturn return was for me, it was, like, actually, like, fully learning what it meant to be fully accountable and responsible for myself, for my emotional regulation, for my path, for my, like, sense of self, for, like, my core, my drive, like, just taking back the wheel in any place that I had, like, unconsciously, subconsciously given over my power and responsibility to other people, other things, systems, relationships, like, Saturn stripped all of that away. All of that away. Any illusions around any of that was stripped away, like, any illusions around, like, me just, like, existing to, like, give up any of my own responsibility to anyone else. Like I said, I was like, what, 3 months? I think I was like 3 or 4 months into my Saturn return when I got pregnant. So it was like very quickly on where I just, like, hit, like, okay, like, now you're not even just responsible for you, you are now responsible for another life that's coming into this world. What does that mean now? Like, how have you been taking care of yourself to now become responsible for this other child? Do you feel like you are going to crumble under this weight, or do you feel like you have what you need? What don't you need? What do you need? Like, just all of the things. So it just really, like, broke down, and I just had to get, like, rid of anything that I just felt no longer I could be responsible for, because it was like, I have
What
this.
what like were there any specific things that were clear to you that were like I need to
Yeah.
discard?
Yes. I think, like, for the most part, I recognized how much I was, like, carrying the weight of friends, even my partner at the time, like, just their emotional, like, or even energetic responsibilities where I was like,
Mhm.
being that person, that buffer of, like, "Oh, let me help you with this. Let me always," like, I was always extending myself to be someone else's, like, responsible party, like that tree in everyone else's, like, world that's like, "Here I am holding you up." But then, like, Saturn came and was like, "Hey, babe, who's holding you up?" Like, hello? Like, if you're in all of these other people's worlds holding them up, like, how can you exist in yours? Like, how can you be strong in you if you are everywhere else but in yourself? And it really just, like, made me stop and just literally, like, I don't even, like, cease to exist in any other thing until I figure this out, because I actually have had to call back my energy from so many things that I didn't realize I was just funneling because I just felt this, responsibility to be this person for people, and it was not necessary. It was also coming from, like, childhood wounding and caretaking roles and things that I had then that I think I just naturally continued to do until, again, Saturn comes around, is like, gives you a preview into what you are responsible for and what you aren't, and that was a gift. It really was, but it also caused a lot of people to be like, "Wait, like, where are you going? Like, you're supposed to be here, like, helping me with this and, like, helping me anchor myself and helping me, like, grounds. I'm having a crisis, like, you're supposed to be there to answer my call." It's like all of these things where I was no longer available. I also had to see that, like, through those relationships, I was also being emptied and I wasn't refilling myself. So there was a level of, like, accountability I had to take for being that person and, like, allowing myself to not, like, really see the worth in my own energy, like, being within me first and, like, giving from the overflow. So that was what I had to learn. It's like, if I have it overflow, yeah, I have it to give, I'm happy to give. But if I am not, responsible for my energy, my emotions, and, like, regulating myself, I can't do that for anybody else. And then let alone my child who is, like, here now on earth 24/7 with me. There's no time where I cannot be that anchor for her. Like, I have to be that anchor for her. So now it just very easily made clear what had to go because I just no longer had the space, or capacity to hold it. So
Mhm.
it was a necessary death. It was. It was.
What were some of the tangible markers that I mean, were there any tangible things that came up that prompted you to see, okay, this I'm not I to recognize and notice, okay, I'm not in responsibility, or I'm not giving from, say, a full cup right now, and then there's that moment of awareness, right, to then shift. But what did that, as you said, that was like, there had to be that willingness to really allow those parts of you to die, right?
Yeah.
But in those moments, what was it, just purely, um like, what did that actually look like? Was it kind of
Yeah.
like habits, or like ways of thinking maybe, or like maybe more thought, like.
Uh, I think it was a habitual, like, urge or, like, just, like, something I had to catch myself doing where it was like I would see a hole or something missing and I would just go and fill it instead of saying, like, "Hey," like, checking in with myself, like, say, for instance, I come downstairs and I'm, staying with my family and I am somebody who will naturally just start, like, doing everything that needs to be done in the house instead of saying, like, "Hey, did you have your morning? Did you pray? Did you do what you needed to do? Like, did you set your intentions? Did you get your tea? Did you just think about you before you entered the space and just picked up everybody's things that needed to be picked up in your mind, and that's where my mind would naturally go as soon as it just like, oh, this person needs this, like, oh, this is out of place, this isn't here. And then, like, an hour passes and I'm now starving and I haven't had breakfast and I can't get 10 to myself, so it's with motherhood that can't even exist now. So it's like if I do get the it's like it's me. Like it's me. Now I have to say, like, do I, even if somebody calls, like, do I have the space for this? Do I have the energy to now expend on this call when I'm gonna, like, have to get her and then, that 30 minutes is up. I don't know when I'm gonna get that another 30 minutes back. Maybe not until she's down for the rest of the night. So it's very much now I'm like a continuous thing where I'm like, what do I have the energy for? And I also feel it in my body now. Like, I've tuned into my body's wisdom when it's like I feel like a heaviness or when I feel like a tense or like like just like a sigh or my like anything that just doesn't feel like openness. I'm like, that's probably not something I can handle right now, and I just have to be honest. Like, it's also learning how to really be honest with yourself and with other people when you can't do something or when you can't handle something, and I don't think that's a skill that a lot of us, like, have naturally. I don't know, for me, it's like it took me a while to really be able to, like, voice, like, "Hey, I can't do this right now," or, "Hey, I don't," like,
No.
you know? Like, no, no, exactly, like, no. No was hard. No was so hard.
No, it's easy. Let's
And
change the
now
script.
it's now it's easy, and now no is my favorite just reminder and affirmation that I don't have to be responsible for anybody and for anything other than myself and my child's especially, but other than that, we'll see what I can get in the overflow. We'll see what I can get to because that's all.
Celebrate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big one, and I know that's a big theme for a lot of people, myself included, from time to time, of when it comes to so this all ties in around, so I was gonna bring up the theme of people pleasing and, giving to others, and it's a big theme, especially with my clients that I work with and the women who come to me. Almost all of them come with this baggage around, I'm overgiving even in my relationships, even in my intimate relationships, and I'm forgetting about myself. And I forgot how to love myself, and I forgot how to fill my cup up first. And I mean, there's so many layers to that, especially as women, and just like all the conditionings. And, um, but this, as like, if for anyone watching this, like, just make it a ritual to practice saying no.
Yeah.
Like, it can be that simple, and telling yourself that it is easy, and that one affirmation that I learned in my breathwork training from my teacher that still sticks with me to this day. It's so simple and it's such a powerful affirmation is, I can say no to people without losing their love. I can say no to people without losing their love.
I'm keeping it.
It's a powerful one because deep down at core, we're overgiving because we, as whatever happened in our childhood, in that created that pattern. It was like, if I'm not responsible and exerting myself and being there, then I'm afraid I will lose love. Like, I'm someone is going to leave me, or however the context of the situation is, like, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy of love, and love is walking away from me, love is leaving me, love is abandoning me. So there's that programming of, like, we're afraid to say no because we're afraid we're to get rejected. We're afraid of failure or rejection. And so that's a powerful one to work with, and I really encourage you, if you are, someone who is saying yes, yes, yes all the time, like, really practice, sit down and practice saying no, and just, like, do it with someone. So this is a big theme, and the theme of responsibility ties back into my childhood as well, because I was going to bring it up in the context of how the theme of responsibility has come up big time in my Saturn return. But I'm also wanted to tie it back to my childhood role of playing and being the responsible one in the family dynamic. And that was a big, so no, having that awareness of myself and my childhood role, I think for anyone is important work to do, to know what was your childhood role, because essentially you will be subconsciously, or playing that out, especially in your Saturn return. And one of the biggest, now that I'm like some years through this, there was a few nuggets that before, like, pre-Saturn return, I had a couple, like, I knew it was coming, but I had a few, like, nuggets from some women that were like, I would start to bring it up and ask them. Like, one of my girlfriends was like, I asked her, "What happened for you?" And she was like, "A lot of my deep unresolved childhood traumas came up." And I was like, "Hmm, interesting." And then another wise woman, she was like, "When your Saturn return comes, whatever you do, don't resist it." And I was
Mm.
like, "Okay, but when you're in it, like,
Oh, oh, yeah.
so just some context, like, at the start of my Saturn return, I was in Bali, actually. I was in Bali closing my Bali chapter because I had all this luggage and things that I had left there during the pandemic for, like,
Wow.
3 years. So I was like, "I'm gonna return to Bali." I'm in California now, and I was in California during the pandemic. I returned to Bali, like, I'm gonna get my bags, I was also open to see if it was somewhere I wanted to live again, but in that time, it was a very um, the closure, it felt very clear to me, like,
Mhm.
this is a trip of closure, get your bags, enjoy the time here, enjoy the connections and the fruits and the seeds that she's bringing to you in this time and then return home. So, that's what I was doing, and I did that, and I returned back to California, and within a week of being back home, I had met Ari, which is my soulmate, my soul brother, soulmate love, and we're really soulmates in this lifetime. After a week of us meeting, he was also a breathwork facilitator, and we just, like, collided, like, our souls just collided, and after a week of us meeting, we had traveled to Costa Rica together. We were like, "Let's go share our medicine, let's go connect to the community," just, like, the whole vision was just like partner in crime, let's go. And like just go live our best life, you know? And after a month of us being there, it was the morning of his birthday, and we were in New Sara in Costa Rica, and he had tragically and suddenly passed away morning of his birthday doing breath work. People are probably asking like what happened. He was doing breath work, um, like deep breath work holds in the pool, and no one was home, and he had drowned. So, and it was a very in my experience, it was the most peaceful experience, and my relationship to his death and to this was Saturn. Like, he is my Saturn, actually. Like, Ari is my Saturn in a
Mhm.
way. Because now he was like, "It's time to get real."
Right.
And I've never experienced anything like this context in my whole life. Like, I've had some friends pass, but nothing not even, like, in the context like this. Like, it was very deeply spiritual because even to this day, I of course, there was a lot of grief and a lot of trauma, and it brought up all of my deep abandonment wounds, my relationship to trust, my own relationship to trust, my trust with men,
Mhm.
like all the stuff that about abandonment because of course the story in my head is like you fucking left me, like how the like fuck off, but I also love you because you had also like we had chose each other to walk this and to bring each other to this point in time where like we just walked each other to the next doorway and he just like passed the torch me. He was like, okay, go complete the mission, like I'm here like serving you from the other dimension and like you got this, like this is our karmic contract together and now you're here to complete it and I'm supporting you from like a way completely different contextual realm in a different context. And it had this moment, there was thing like I feel the deepest feelings of love and joy and really the feelings of what it means to be truly alive because him ascending really taught in just the way like our souls were one. Like it was just like that month that we had together just was like our souls were just like transmission, full transmission, all of it, just all the information, like transferring, just exchanging all of it and coming back to the theme of so where do I wanna go with this? It basically showed me what it means to truly live through my grief, through this trauma, through feeling so deeply. I had understood that him ascending was, of course, part of me died big time when he died, but also I had also like, and I was really living my life. Like, if you ask me, I'd be like, I like, not like, if I were to die now, like, because the odds are just like the context is so
Right.
particular and precise, right? Because it's like he could have, like, we could have died together and like went together as soulmates, or like he could have been like way more tragic, like bloody, or whoever, who knows, like, or even I could have been there to see, like, experience it. Like, it was just like so peaceful. And like there was that frequency of like he literally like went back into the portal of the womb, the water, like on the morning of your birthday, doing what you love. Like, it's just, it was just this beautiful initiation into what it means to truly start living and maybe taking responsibility. So, and like, okay, so now, fast forward, like, I'm continuing to follow my heart and keep my heart open amongst all this, because crazy enough, I didn't close my heart. And it was interesting if I look back, because when I was in Bali a few months prior, I was repeating to myself, "Universe, bring me who I need to open my heart." And I was repeating this mantra like every day, like on my scooter, like la la la, bring me who I need to open my heart, because I felt very close in my heart still. Very, those tendencies of control and defensiveness. And I was just praying, to the universe, like la la la. And what do you know? I meet Ari. He ascends like so suddenly, so quickly. And it like, after some time, I looked at it and I was like, "What? That's insane." Like, the universe literally brought me someone to just, like, fully open my heart to, and then took away, and it just, like, cracked me wide open. So, make sure your prayers are, but I had recognized this, and
Yes.
I didn't let it bring me into this downward spiral of depression,
Yeah.
right? I had
That.
recognized, took responsibility for my prayers, for my words as spells, and I had been like, "Yo, I asked for this." And so, like, wow, thank you. Like, thank you.
Oh my
And
god. That is so
it's
spot
a
on. Oh my
freaking initiation. Like,
yeah.
everything is an initiation if we
That.
look at it in this context. And believe me, I had a ton of people, like, really triggered because I was very open about sharing my whole process, and it triggered a lot of people for sure, because they're like, "How could you be so happy about it, and how are you saying that he chose this?" And,
Yeah.
there were a lot of energies just, like, against me, but I just stayed true to me and true to the relationship that we had and that I had with myself about, like, this is how I feel, and not letting other things outside of me, like, um, steer me away from my truth. So, responsibility has been a big theme, also in the context of money and value. And I'll
Mhm.
just give one more example and we can just kind of flow from there. Um, so then, like, a year later, I had met my partner, and I always believe like that. I wouldn't have met him and been able to be in an intimate relationship with him if it wasn't for what had happened with Ari, and like to be open in my heart to then be in that relationship and, just go deeper. And something, yeah, the themes. So my Saturn is in the second house.
Mm.
And this is a house that rules money and values. But I've always heard stories of people's Saturn return and their like whole career path is shifted and they like change their whole like work career and their professional life, and like this changes and like everything changes. But I was like, and so I was like almost projecting that reality on my own reality. Like nothing
Oh,
really changed. Like I'm still in alignment, like doing my mentorship, teaching, helping others. Like, and at one point there was a moment where I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop this coaching thing and I'm just gonna pursue the path of tea. Even though it was like something I was like always still
so
doing. Like I've always
good.
been on the
Yeah.
path of tea. It
Yes.
was just like in my mind, it was like close the door and open a new one. And then it was like a whole funny thing because it needed to happen because I needed to take a break from my work because I
Yeah.
was so burnt out and overwhelmed. And that whole year, I had a mentor, but I realized that it was to the point where I was not doing it for my joy and for my satisfaction. And I started to get out of alignment with my core values, which is authenticity, which is simplicity, doing my business in a simple way. And, um, and beauty as well is one of my values. So like, it in the context of, like, okay, your Saturn is gonna just, like, shape shift everything in your external world. I was look projecting this of, like, my whole external world needs to shift, but in the reality, it was, like, the core internal things were what were happening, and so it was this burnout, it was this overwhelm in my business of not feeling in alignment, like, this is not how I want to do business. This doesn't align with my values. So I had taken this break and it was a very necessary break because I was able to step back and see like actually I do love this and this does bring me satisfaction and this I am in my purpose when I'm serving in this way. But it was just the perspective shift, right? And so then there's like the theme of money as well, which is still a very evolving theme, but I've now, like, these are all very recent revelations around honing back in on those core inner values, right? Rather than seeing those Saturn things that are happening externally, but
Yeah.
like those values that I have and how those the rooting into my internal core value system has naturally okay as within so without of course I
Yeah.
mean but it needed to happen in this way for me to see that, oh, like, is this relationship in alignment? Like, am I being myself or am I being someone else? Or
Mm.
is this like, is scaling my whole and monetizing my whole business with like the full $5,000 Kajabi and doing master classes and all of this and emails, like just completely 0 to 100? Is that how I feel good to do business?
Right.
Hell no. And like I, like, literally I had to do that, like, like, the investment, all of it, like, it was insane just to completely be like, "No." And that was a hard conversation I had. I had to have it with my ex-coach that was like, "No, this is not for me." And then with, like, the woman who was building my website that was like, "No. I know I said yes, but, like, also no but, and no. This is not." And then just super clear on simple, simple, simple. And it was always clear in the beginning. Like I was very clear with my coach about my vision, and I was very clear with my website lady about my vision of how I want it to be simple. And it needed to happen in that context in order for me to, literally like draw it out for them and for them to model from my actual drawing of like, okay, this is her physical real vision, and now I can model from that based off of her core thing. So it's been very empowering, I would say. And um
Yes. Yes. We took
baby
it
steps.
back.
Baby
Yeah.
steps. It's always been like the theme and just the I know you mentioned honesty, and that's also been a big theme for me when it comes to Saturn and taking responsibility and what it means to be responsible is also being honest with myself about what I need and what do I want and what do I value, and are these things in my life reflective of these values or no? And if not, then am I willing to have a hard conversation or to say no or to let these things die or end, like to end the relationship if it's not within the values that are, that are like my values are like my roots into the earth. They're like the foundation, it's the pillars, and we can't build something without this. So yeah, it's wild to be like 3 years, or it's now since Ari passed away. Like when you were pregnant, that was probably, when did you get pregnant?
July 2023.
Okay. Yeah. So around the same time, Ari passed away in March. So like Aries,
Oh,
and he's
yes.
Aries,
Yes.
like met Aries season. He's Aries, like that full just like beginning of a cycle, right?
And
So
then I got pregnant with an Aries. Oh my god.
and what'd you say?
I said, and then I got pregnant with an Aries.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
Full warrior energy. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, warrior team is so
Um,
like
is
I have warrior heart, My South Node is Aries, so it was very clear. Like meeting Ari was like
mm,
him showing me this is where I'm coming from. Like,
yeah,
and there's like no shame. Like I'm fully warrior mode in it. But there, and opposite of Aries is Libra, which is like this soft, feminine, Venusian energy, beauty and harmony and balance and love. It's like
yes. Oh my god, the polarities
Aphrodite and what is Aries, the Greek god? I mean,
or Mars, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like it would be like Aphrodite, and what are some archetypes of like what Aries would be?
I think, I think in actual they call it Eris, like the
Yes.
Eris,
Oh,
yeah. That's what I literally initially thought my daughter was a son and I was gonna name him Eris. Yeah, yeah. It was like that's that warrior energy, like that year especially was like, oh my god, because the North Node shifted into Aries
that.
July 23. So like right after he passed, a few months later, North Node shifted into Aries, and I feel like that warrior like energy like blasted through and was just like, we've all got to align to like what we're here to like be passionate about, to like be fired, like to show us like who we are from our core, like in that raw depths is like I have so much respect for Aries energy now from that year and moving through it. Like because it's an initiation, it's a start, it's that like entry into the world, it's the first sign. So it's like literally coming out of the womb into the world with this like fire. And I
Yeah.
experienced it, and it is unbelievable the way that they come to this world and just know and captivate, and just that energy that we all have, within us. Like you say, your South Node, like it's my Mercury, my Mars, so it's crazy. That time was so insane. Like, that year changed our lives forever.
Here, like I died.
That literally
Like I don't know what life existed before that year, because that's when I was born.
yeah,
Reborn.
reborn reborn, literally born into this
Oh
realm.
my god. And so I was just like reflecting on how time can be such a beautiful wow, a beautiful thing. Not just time, but the space, right? To when you're in it, you're like you're in it. You're like still in the eye of the storm. You can't, even if you try to take some perspective, it's like you're still in it. And I feel very much so I still am in it, but also, I mean, yeah, there's also been a lot of deep, raw, uprooting initiations for myself, even in the last 6 months. So that's why I'm like, there's this balance of like, okay, yes, I'm integrating those previous
Yeah.
thing, but also there's some new initiations that have
Yeah.
come. So just that space that it can be such a what am I trying to say? It's just looking back and to reflect and to be able to take a different perspective now and just look and be able to reflect on, oh, that all had tied into that. And one really relevant theme was this abandonment. And so a month ago, like my partner and I, we were in Bali, and we had this like huge like conflict and breakup moment, and it had very much so reflected. It had mirrored exactly what happened with Ari, because it was like he left and it was so sudden and it was completely out of my control, and there was like no communication, and it just triggered everything that had happened with Ari all over again. And I was like, "Okay, um, thank you," but also like, "Whoa, there's a lot here." Like, there was some anger, there was some frustration, there was some sadness, there was, like, all of it, like, the big theme was the abandonment and then the trust. And so it's just interesting because it was like this full circle moment for me to then reflect on, okay, it's actually not about them, and it's me and my relationship to this is a mirror, this is here for me to see, look at myself and see what hi, like, what are we looking at here?
Meet another mirror. Meet another and yes, oh my god, that is so real. That is so I went through a similar initiation with an
With
abandonment is
trust, or like this still along the same theme of trust, or
trust. Yes, similar because like I have a very core wound with abandonment that I've been like and everything you're saying, it's like the past 2 years, like, we've been able to catch up to what happened then, but then there's also, like, what's been happening now that we're trying to integrate through, like, our awareness, and, like, so much of it also starts from so deep within us, but I feel like these past couple of weeks, I've been really seeing, I had a realization that my abandoned wound came from my dad getting married to my stepmom and, like, literally randomly in my awareness, me being at the wedding, walking down the aisle, crying, came into my, like, view, and I remembered myself as a child being like, "Love doesn't exist." Like, this is because like, it was just this whole thing of, like, losing my family and seeing my dad marry someone else, like, it just, like, it, like, broke me as far as, like, that abandonment, like, I'm being betrayed, like, betrayal, I think, is more, like, my big one, like, betrayal, and then the idea of being abandoned through betrayal, and then the trust, like, that whole s is like a three-loop spiral, and it happened in my mirror with my child's father, so it was like, when
and
it
that
happened at a return, it was like,
mhm.
"Oh, childhood, like, wounds, like, this betrayal, all of these things that happened, and so I had to take accountability for that wound and, like, really go within and be like, "Okay, Sandra, you cannot continue to like, you have to go within and, like, live all of the like, feeling this anger, feeling this, like, feel it through, get a therapist, like, get accountable for all of your pieces in it so that you can create a new relationship with yourself that doesn't require you to betray yourself for another person, betray yourself for love, abandon yourself for love, like, all the things that I was doing to stop that from happening in my
Mhm.
like the conditionings, the way that my child like self just learned how to do habits in order to like stop what she feared from happening, continue to happen because, the story was there playing out subconsciously this whole time. So yeah, it's like when that mirror comes out, it's like gutting, but you're so thankful because I need to face this. Like I need to face you. I need to see you. I need to honor you. I need to know you. Like I need to get to the root of you. I need to do all of this. Otherwise, like we're gonna be here doing this in every like freaking relationship we have, you know? So but really it's always a mirror of ourselves and our relationship to ourselves. So it's like we do have more control than we think when we really work from that space instead of like trying to like fix everything outside of us, just like coming back home, seeing
Yeah.
what is up, like remember, like it's all about my relationship to myself. And, I as long as I'm not doing any of that to me, like the mirror and whatever person I'm be facing on the external is going to reflect that. So that's what it really taught me is to stop clinging, stop control, like just take out and surrender.
Mhm.
Surrender process, surrender to the death, surrender to all of the like whatever has to happen in order to bring about this transformation because
Mm.
it's a transformation. Saturn literally is like doing its work, doing its dance, like bringing all this stuff out just to like transform us and remold us and reshape us. And it's a beautiful, beautiful work of arts, but it's painful. It's a painful process, a
Uh,
painful
like
alignment.
coming through the birth canal, it's like a miracle moment, but at the same time, the contraction and that just like the tightness, but then the
Oh,
liberation. And it
yes.
for me, I really feel that freedom and liberation is the point of all of this. Oh,
Yeah,
my dad is calling me. Okay, I'll call him back. We can start to wrap it up here. Um,
the 10.
so yeah, just it's the point is to liberate ourselves from this conditioning and to feel free in our body and to feel pleasure in our body and like love our body and acknowledge our inner child and love her and or love him. And because all of these programs and stories that we tell, they're just illusion, of like, I'm not worthy of love, or I'm not enough, or I'm gonna lose the love, or I'm hurt. And then most of the time, we're just scared and we're feeling alone and we just need a hug and we just need some love. And so that's okay to ask for it. So, just, oh, there's a bird here.
Oh,
Oh, hi. uh, I want to wrap it up if that's okay with you, but maybe
yes,
we can make a short point about this upcoming full moon.
yes. Full moon and Sag. Yes.
This is such a yummy, like, who doesn't love Sagittarius?
I
Plen-
love it.
I mean, expansions,
Yeah,
freedom, like,
yeah,
this is a
yeah.
full moon in Sagittarius. I think probably it's one of my favorite, next to full moon in Taurus.
Oh, I love a full moon in Taurus. And yeah, I agree. And especially this one because Jupiter is going to be freshly in the exaltation. So Jupiter is now, the ruler of the full moon in Cancer. So we're going to feeling this like yummy mothering, just like feminine like embrace of also just like wherever we're meant to expand, like that nurturing of like all the seeds we've been planting and just like being able to like feel like the like especially as we're moving into Cancer season, I feel like we're really going to start to feel like the rebirth of like all the things that we've been like holding on to this year to like bring in like there's all of these initiations we've been going through. Venus retrograde, like Venus is now in Taurus after she's been going through the underworld and we've been going through it with her. And now we're like we're here, like it's really like the emerging from the canal feeling. I think that this full moon is going to bring a lot of just like wrecking like what those labor pains that we were going through this whole like 6 months of 2025 was for, and get to bask in it and play in it and feel free and go wild and just have fun and like actually celebrate, the process and the journey and just like let go of whatever it was that was like weighing out all of the like I mean it wasn't even weighing us, it was weighing for a reason, it was all serving a purpose. And like there's a lot of wisdom I think that we're going to see in like just every single lesson. Like we're going to have so much gratitude for it because we're going to see how they literally laid a path for us to now walk in and like be happy and joyous and jovial and Jupiterian and like, just embrace that. And I also saw an astrologer say it's like, so the sun's gonna be in Gemini, which the ruler is Mercury, and then the moon is in Sagittarius and the ruler is Jupiter, and they're gonna be conjunct. So it's like we're also going to be like meeting our inner and outer selves in like a very like aligned, like it's the alignment of our inner and outer selves. So we're gonna feel also just like all of that, like where we were like fine tuned and like meet that vibration, that frequency of like all of that alignment we've been working on and the alchemy and just all of that. So I'm stoked for this
What
full moon.
exciting time to be alive.
Exciting times. We need some love. We need some medicine, and the cosmos are here to deliver for us.
Oh,
Oh,
babe, I have to jump off. This has been super exciting, and thank you for this invitation. And I mean, I would like we can do it again.
yes, yes, we will soon. Thank you for being here and love to anyone watching now or later. I'll keep this up and it's you.
Amazing. Okay, and good luck with your transition over to Nicaragua.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm sending you some yummy transits for this next little chapter there. Big
Yeah,
chapter.
big chapter. Big things come. Okay.
Reap
Oh,
the fruits, babe. Eat the fruits.
I will. All the mangoes, all the ripeness.
Yes. Good.
You so
You guys deserve it. Okay. I love
love.
you. You
Love. Bye. Uh, Thank you, everyone who joined this. Ooh, no. Oh my goodness. Thank you, everyone who was here, who joined. I will be doing more of these. I will be doing more transit talks. I will be doing more just transmissions on live on Substack. So if you're here and you have things you want to hear me talk about, if there's anything that we talked about today that you want us to come back and talk more about, if you are also ending your Saturn return and there have been themes and things that you have experienced that you would love to review, if there's transits coming up that you want to know more about, I'm opening my one-on-one sessions this summer. So please, please reach out and I will also be in touch. Bye bye. Happy Sunday.